Well, hello, listeners, and welcome to the Our Experts podcast. I am Carol Matichka, an eternal advocate for pharmacy, and we are excited to bring you the episodes for this next season with new and very interesting guests who will bring their perspectives and expertise to all of our listeners regarding topics surrounding the profession of pharmacy. Today we have with us Dr. Janet Schmittgen, an assistant professor with the University of Florida College of Pharmacy who has a deep passion for pharmacy history. She currently serves as director for the Pharmacy Museum at UF College of Pharmacy and teaches an elective course in the history of pharmacy. Since this is American Pharmacists Month and the Centennial for the University of Florida College of Pharmacy, I thought it would be great to kickstart our season with some fascinating information about the history of pharmacy, particularly regarding the history here in the state of Florida, as well as the UF College of Pharmacy. I know I can't wait to hear what she has to share. So thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Schmittgen.
Well, thanks so much for inviting me, Carol. So I really enjoy listening to your podcast, and I really look forward to this interview. So let me just start a little bit about myself. So I received my BS in pharmacy from the Ohio State University in 1986. And I married a fellow pharmacy student and who went to grad school to become a pharmacy professor. So we moved around the country a lot, and I became the portable partner. This allowed me to always look for new opportunities as we moved around the country, and it helped me give me a very broad view of the pharmacy profession. So I worked for about 10 years in hospital pharmacy. I also worked in community pharmacy, both in independent and chain pharmacy. And I also worked as a prior auth pharmacist at Express Scripts. In 1996, we moved to Washington State and University, and I taught in the College of Pharmacy there from 1996 until 2002. And then in 2016, we moved to the University of Florida, and I was given the opportunity then to go to to enter the Working for Professional PharmD program. And so I graduated from the University of Florida Working Professional PharmD program in 2019. And so I am a true Gator. I love the profession of pharmacy, and I've been fortunate to work with many hundreds of amazing pharmacists throughout my career who have been dedicated to moving the profession forward. And I also want to tell you that my other job, aside from being the pharmacy historian director of the museum, is to teach in the 2PD Skills Lab, which is health systems or hospital clinical skills.
Thank you for sharing all that information. And you really have a deep passion for pharmacy history. So how did that start, and why did you start researching that?
So when I was a student at Ohio State, I took a history of pharmacy elective course, and it was taught by, actually several courses, taught by Dr. Robert Berkey. And he was trained at the University of Wisconsin, which is where all the history of pharmacy stuff comes from. So I also volunteered at the Ohio Village, which was a historical pharmacy, 19th century pharmacy. And I made all kinds of potions and mixtures there. And that was a lot of fun. We dressed in 19th century garb. So I always have had a passion for history in general. And we've been very fortunate to be able to travel across the United States and also throughout the world. And so I've gotten to visit a lot of different pharmacy museums and visit a lot of pharmacies through our travels. So when I came to UF, I had a little bit of experience in pharmacy history, and I was asked to be the director of the Pharmacy Museum and to teach an elective class in the history of pharmacy. So I also feel like I've lived quite a bit of history over the past few decades and practiced pharmacy for 40 years. So when I was an intern, we still typed prescriptions on typewriters, and we had our family patient profiles on a piece of cardboard, and we had to write in whenever they got a refill prescription or a new prescription.
Wow. Let me ask you, are you familiar with the old drugstore in St. Augustine? They claim to be the, the oldest drugstore. You've been
Yeah,
there before.
yeah, I
Yeah,
absolutely love it. Yeah, they're
Me too. I live in St. Augustine. I've been several times over the years. They've scaled it down a bit in recent
Mhm.
years, but it's still fascinating. Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
I actually have an old postcard in the pharmacy museum of that
Oh,
pharmacy.
wow. Oh, very cool. So, being here at the University of Florida, tell us about the history and the beginnings of the College of Pharmacy here.
So, the University of Florida College of Pharmacy began classes on September 25th, 1923. 43 students from 4 states were admitted to the School of Pharmacy, and Towns Lee was appointed director. He also served as the director of the Department of Chemistry. So, there were 3 departments in the College of Pharmacy then: chemistry, pharmacy, and then pharmacognosy and pharmacology. Dr. Lee's goal for the University of Florida was to have a national and international reputation in pharmacy. And one of my favorite quotes by Dr. Lee on the screen here is, "There is no profession that requires a more thorough training of the hand, the head, and the heart than does the practice of pharmacy." So, incidentally, the cost of tuition in 1923 was set at $0. However, all of the fees added together totaled about $242.50 per year. And
Wow.
Dr. Lee, he wanted 3 things for the new School of Pharmacy: a model pharmacy, a medicinal drug garden, and a pharmacy museum. And he was able to put into practice all 3 of those. So, I
That's
would be
fascinating.
remiss if I didn't acknowledge that information about the history of the College of Pharmacy came from a book written by Dr. L.G. Gramling, who was a professor at the college, and it is called History of Pharmacy in Florida. One thing I'd like to do is to help revise that book. So maybe if I get some time, I will try to work on that project. I also have ledgers from faculty meetings going back from 1926 to the 1970s.
Oh, wow. Fascinating. And I love that quote as well. And so we also know there's a link between the Florida Pharmacy Association as well as pharmacists in Florida who really helped get the college off the ground. So can you share a little bit of information about that?
Yes, the Florida Pharmacists Association, or Florida Pharmaceutical Association, as it was called at the time, was instrumental in helping the UF College of Pharmacy become a reality. So in 1895, the president of FPA at the time, W.I. Woodman, recommended the establishment of a school of pharmacy in the state of Florida for a variety of reasons, economic and because it was during the period of Reconstruction after World War I. Eventually, the School of Pharmacy did not come to fruition. So the FPA played a very important role in continuing to pursue this goal and to help make the College of Pharmacy become a reality. Dr. William Perry was the president of FPA in 1922, and he invited Dr. Lee to speak at the FPA meeting in St. Petersburg, Florida that year. And he spoke about on a paper that he wrote and talk that he did, the need for a College of Pharmacy at the University of Florida. So in 1923, the FPA meeting was in Eustis, and there were pharmacists from all over the state of Florida who went to that meeting, and they pledged $5,000 to the university to help with the opening of the College of Pharmacy. So it was really the pharmacists from the FPA throughout the state of Florida who helped donate to the cause to establish a College of Pharmacy. And also, I wanted to let you know the ladies' auxiliary, so spouses of many of these pharmacists, they helped donate books from the FPA and journals to the library for the students in the School of Pharmacy. Townsley's wife was also very helpful and instrumental part of helping to support the pharmacy students. And FPA has continued to play an important role throughout the decades and also their meetings helped the faculty present some of the latest research and topics that were really important to the betterment of pharmacy in the state of Florida.
Wow, that's very interesting. And for those who don't know, some of our listeners, the Florida Pharmacy Association actually started in Jacksonville. Their very first meeting was held in Jacksonville. And of course, we've got our campus in Jacksonville where I'm located, and just fascinating all of that information that comes around. So
Do you
go
know
ahead.
what they did, the pharmacists did after they had that first meeting?
I'm not sure that I do.
They went to the beach
Oh, very good. And
in
why not?
Jacksonville.
And why not?
Yes, and they did that frequently. So I just love that aspect of special Florida history that they would combine it with then going to the beach and stuff.
Oh, that's great. Well, certainly a lot of changes have occurred over the years at the College of Pharmacy. So, talk to us about some of these changes, in particularly education, student organizations, research, as well as in terms of faculty. I know that's a lot, but maybe if you could give us a little snippet here and there.
Okay, so let me just first talk about education. So the School of Pharmacy offered 3 degrees at first: the PhD or graduate in pharmacy degree, the PhD or pharmaceutical chemist, and then a BS in pharmacy. So this was from the beginning in 1923. In 1932, the pharmacy became a 4-year course of study with the Bachelor in Science as the sole degree. In 1925, the College of Pharmacy added the Master of Science degree. And then in 1930, it became the first college on the campus of University of Florida to offer the Doctor of Philosophy degree. So it was the first pharmacy school in the Southeast and one of only 4 or 5 in the country to offer the PhD. So most of the 9 first faculty members were PhDs, which I think speaks really well to the college. And the fact that some of the master's and PhD programs were started so early really shows a commitment to research and graduate education from the College of Pharmacy from the beginning.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
William Husa, which is one of the professors in the College of Pharmacy at the time, and from 1923, he wrote a book on pharmaceutical dispensing, and it was used in colleges all over the country from 1925 until 1984.
Wow.
So that is pretty amazing.
That's quite a
Dr.
span.
Perry Foote was hired in 1928, and he had obtained his PhD from University of Wisconsin, and he specialized in tableting. Also, you can see from this slide, there is a picture of the medicinal drug garden, which was on 10 acres of land near Lake Alice in Gainesville. And it was used as a means of cultivating medicinal plants and for the purposes of commercial use in the state of Florida, but also served as a way of teaching the students pharmacognosy. So the students would go ahead and use those plants and extract the medicinal ingredients from the plants.
Wow, that's fascinating. And for our listeners, we do have a YouTube channel now as well. So some of those pictures she's talking about will have be shown there. Um, so in regards to the profession and some of the big leaps we've certainly seen in the years. One of the biggest leaps or early leaps, I would say, was this concept of clinical pharmacy. Now, I know Dr. Hepler taught me while I was in pharmacy school, and he probably taught many of our listeners who are listening. Talk to us about that concept and really how Hepler, as well as Strand, made a big impact in that realm.
Well, let me go back to the beginnings of clinical pharmacy at University of Florida. So it was Dr. Ronald B. Stewart was the first full-time clinical faculty member, and he was hired in 1970 to implement clinical education in the College of Pharmacy. So there was a 4-credit elective course that was implemented, required students like to be on doing clinical activities like 3 hours per week in the health center. The Master of Science in Clinical Pharmacy was implemented in 1972, and a drug information service was created by Mr. Pete Pavanka. There were also several clinical faculty who were very instrumental in establishing the clinical pharmacy program, among them Mike McKenzie, Leslie Hendlace, and also Paul Doring, just to name a few. But in 1992, as you have referred to, something really significant happened in the College of Pharmacy, and that was that Linda Strand and Doug Hepler, who were both members of the faculty members at the College of Pharmacy, wrote an important paper called Opportunities and Responsibilities in Pharmaceutical Care. And this paper had a tremendous impact on the profession of pharmacy and moving the profession forward. I personally read this paper over 100 times, maybe more. It was very instrumental for me when I was helping to create the Skills Laboratory in Washington State University in 1996. And I believe they shared the prestigious Remington Award from APHA in recognition for their achievement.
Wow, that's fantastic. Great history
If,
there.
if I could just go back one
Sure.
second, though,
Sure.
I think I've forgotten to mention, and I definitely want to mention this, but student organizations at the
Oh,
College of
yeah.
Pharmacy early on, because our students are so involved in student organizations on all three campuses. But the first student organization was the Mortar and Pestle Society, and that was the first, it began during the first year of the college. The IOTA chapter of Rho Chi was established in 1928, and the state legislature in 1935 passed a resolution to permit women to enroll in the College of Pharmacy. So in 1936, the Spatula Club was established, and it was, I believe, the first women's organization on the campus of UF, and it received a charter as the Kappa chapter of Kappa Epsilon fraternity. So that was also very notable and important. And I also want to note that students were very, very involved in some of the other student organizations on campus, such as both men and women in the College of Pharmacy were part of the cheerleading squad and also archery team.
Fascinating. Thank you. Great history there. And of course, we can't forget one of the biggest changes we've seen in the college, and that's really this innovative method in regards to teaching that coincided with the change, the creation of the distance campuses. So there was a great need at the time when we did work on developing the distance campuses around the country for pharmacists. There was a huge shortage in pharmacy for pharmacists, and that challenge really drove the university to think innovatively and to come up with this concept. There were a couple of distance campuses at other colleges or universities around the U.S., but really UF was extremely innovative and forward-thinking in regards to developing them. So let's talk a little bit about our three distance campuses. Well, it was three. We actually have two now, but St. Petersburg, Orlando, and Jacksonville.
Okay, I feel like you should be giving this part of the history because I think
I
you
can
were
give a
so
lot.
instrumental in this. But let me just go back a little bit in 1983, the College of Pharmacy expanded its clinical education program and moved it into the Jax area. And so then in 1996, Dean Rippey started the non-traditional or helped start the non-traditional or WPPD program at some distance sites in Florida. It was previously being done before that, but I think it moved to Orlando and Tampa. And this program was significant because it began using a two-way video audio technology, later videotapes, and then the use of internet communications for teaching. And I think Dr. Sven Norman was very instrumental in that. The biggest change of what occurred in the college was the establishment of the entry-level PharmD program in 1997. And so then the Bachelor of Science in Pharmacy degree was terminated. It was in 2002 that the college implemented 3 additional campus locations, so Jacksonville, Orlando, and St. Petersburg. And these campuses were created, as you said, to help address the shortage of pharmacists in the state of Florida. So the directors of these new campuses were Dr. Jennifer Williams in St. Pete, Dr. Aaron St. Onge in Orlando, and Dr. Carol Matichka in Jacksonville. And Dr. Sven Norman was appointed as the Assistant Dean of Distance, Continuing, and Executive Education. So as you said, the St. Pete campus was eventually closed, but we have many proud alumni from that campus. And the 3 campuses provide the same education, but each has a unique atmosphere. So this allows students to attend the campus of their choice. I always enjoy visiting the Jackson Orlando campus and seeing how each campus students and faculty bond together. And I can tell you, I've always enjoyed going to the Jax campus and that special bond that you guys have together. But it always feels like family when you go there. So does Gainesville, so does Orlando, but it's just special.
Oh, thank you. And yeah, that was quite an exciting and fast-moving time as we quickly worked to get the campuses up and running. I have to say just what an amazing time it was for me professionally, working with Aaron and Jennifer, and then Sven as our fearless leader. It was an incredible few years getting everything up and going. And, I think that it speaks volumes in regards to how it's the longevity of these campuses. And certainly the need for pharmacists did go down a bit over the years. And so we did end up eventually closing the St. Petersburg campus. However, like you said, we have some amazing alumni from that campus who continue on. And it just goes to show you what a great job Jennifer did as director over there as well. But, well, thank you for bringing all that up and talking about the distance campuses. Of course, it's very near and dear to my heart. So anyway, let's change a little bit focus here. And can you share some information about the Pharmacy Museum as well as the elective that you teach?
Sure. So pictured here is the Pharmacy History Ambassadors and Kappa Psi. So each year in October, Kappa Psi helps me clean the museum and work on projects. And we did that this weekend on Saturday. So I provide them lunch and then a little donation for them helping to clean. And they did an excellent job. And my Pharmacy History Ambassadors are students who've taken my class and they have helped with events throughout the year this year, and they help provide tours. So our mission at the Pharmacy Museum is to preserve the history of the UF College of Pharmacy, but also history of the state of Florida. So we have many of the objects that are in the museum were donated by alumni who owned pharmacies in the state of Florida. Dr. David Brushwood helped to reestablish the Pharmacy Museum to its present location on the 4th floor of the HPNP building. Dr. Tony Palmieri also served as the director of the museum before me, and he really added some important archives to the museum. The last several years, I was able to purchase some showcases with Pharmacy Museum objects, and so they are placed on the Orlando and the Jax campus locations. So I do teach a 2-week elective course in the history of pharmacy each December, so it's coming up now. And the course has a lot of different projects. So students write a monograph for patent medicine manufactured in the state of Florida. So that's really interesting. And it never ceases to amaze me some of the information they find about those patent medicines in addition to what's on the label. The students also learn about leadership by writing a bio sketch on a pharmacy hero from the past. So I have a variety of different pharmacy heroes they can write on. The students also do a wet lab, and they make pharmaceutical compounds from 1928. And part of this includes a presentation from Dr. Perry Foote, who was an instructor, and he became dean eventually, but he was an instructor hired in 1928, and he is played by Dr. Carrie Mobley. That's a really good thing. I tell the students that Dr. Perryfoot's coming back to give them a lecture, and they all look at me kind of confused. The students also do a final project presentation on Adobe Spark technology, and it's on a variety of different historical projects. So we've had lots of different interesting projects over the years, but last year they worked on UF College of Pharmacy history projects. And so I think I will continue that this year since it's still this Centennial. But I also help teach students who are interested in doing independent study projects for the history of pharmacy. So I've had many students over the years who've done some special projects for us. We also do have tours of the Pharmacy Museum, as you alluded to, and I do get requests from students, from alumni, and just other visitors. And I have this group of pharmacy history ambassadors who will help me do tours on the alumni barbecue on November 4th of this year.
Oh, great. Excellent. Thank you for sharing all of that. So, what are some opportunities we can learn from our legacy and history? And what do you think the next 100 years will hold?
Well, I think it's important. Let me just bring something up for myself real quick here.
Sure.
Um, so I think that the from the earliest beginnings, the College of Pharmacy has always been very progressive and has looked toward the future. We have a very rich history and legacy of excellence, which has reached around the world, really. Many of our distinguished faculty over the years have driven many important achievements in research and as well as clinical pharmacy practice. We have UF alumni involved in many aspects of the profession of pharmacy. So leaders like Hepler and Strand helped lead the reprofessionalization of pharmacy, which helped lead to the entry-level PharmD degree. So my hope is that we don't take this legacy lightly and that we honor those who have gone before us by continuing to pursue work on projects that will help continue to move the profession forward. And perhaps one or more of our faculty will receive the Remington Award for their work in moving the profession forward.
Oh, that absolutely. And it's easy to see why students love your elective and love your passion. It really comes through in regards to the history of pharmacy. Thank you for sharing with everybody today. Is there anything else you want to leave our audience with?
Well, sure. There's this quote from Townsley. And so pharmacy has always been a great profession. I'm so happy that I entered this profession and I've gotten to know so many wonderful pharmacists and technicians during my career. I guess I would like to leave everyone with the words of Townsley, but you must envision that with all of the UF College of Pharmacy alumni doing a big gator chomp. So I won't read the total quote, but it is on the screen for you. But this is my vision, that our School of Pharmacy will become one of the best in the land. I give you my hand, and with it, I pledge my support to the Pharmaceutical Association of Florida for a greater and grander day in pharmacy.
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us today. Great to have you on with us.
Thank you. I just wanted to express my appreciation and let everyone know how grateful I am to be able to work with dedicated faculty like you. And thank you for all you do for the students and also your important work in FPA. Go Gators.
Go Gators. Well, thank you everyone for listening. And if you'd like to learn more about the history of pharmacy and the University of Florida College of Pharmacy, visit history.pharmacy.ufl.edu. Take care.